Recently, I went to bat hard defending my right to lust after the body of a fictional teenager called Uzaki-chan, even though, to tell you the truth, at first I wasn't really all that interested in her. My desire to show solidarity to my big-titted comrades had exceeded my personal investment in the matter, and when I fired up the anime, I couldn't help but find myself thinking, you know, she looks kinda Shota. I am far from alone in this assessment. There were many comments in my video going into different levels of analytical depth on trying to figure out which elements of the design had personally put them off from finding her attracting, despite otherwise appreciating short, busty girls. Most of the takes revolved around the character's drably short gray hair and oversized facial features, often concluding that she looks somewhat Shota-like. It's easy to see why this might confuse people, to the point that some viewers accuse the design of failing at its goal of creating an attractive character, because the only successful part is the breast size. Of course, when it comes to anime, it's always a lot more complicated than that. You could have drawn anything, and yet you chose to draw this. Maybe you went down a checklist of specific elements you wanted to include, or maybe you just drew what was in your heart and this is what came out. But either way, we need to confront the results on its own terms, rather than trying to assume that it was trying to be something else. A character doesn't achieve that kind of groundswell success that pushes them to make the transition from manga to animation without the belief that they're beloved by enough hardcore fans to sell at minimum several thousand products. People don't buy merchandise of characters that fail to be attractive. They buy merchandise of characters who are so specifically attractive that it says something about them as a person. If you have to ask, why is Uzaki-chan popular, then you probably haven't taken the time to actually watch the show, as its intentions are pretty clear. Just engage with Uzaki as a character instead of a sex object, and you'll quickly come into contact with her personality. That is a very sincere, kindly, and high-energy young woman, compelled by her desire to help her upperclassmen live a less boringly independent lifestyle. What is it that drives a man to spend all of his time alone? Perhaps he isn't sure how to meaningfully insert other people into his life. He can't think of a place for them, so he doesn't approach them. But as a result, he never figures out what kind of help he could actually be receiving. Uzaki-chan believes she may be uniquely capable of helping this guy, so she's dedicating herself to making it happen. Through their interactions, we get a peek into what drives our boy away from everyone. An overwhelming sense of guilt over the feeling that he might be taking advantage of an opportunity. This guilt is constantly shoved in his face by Uzaki-chan's tits, as their natural tendency to animate draws his attention towards them unintentionally. The fact that Uzaki innocently doesn't seem to notice or care how much she draws his eyes makes him feel even more guilty about it, because he feels like he's gaining something without permission, and without necessarily giving anything in exchange. Really, their intentions are aligning fairly well. She wants him to have the attention of a peer, and his attention is captivated. If he can't figure out how to progress this thing, then there is nothing I can do to help the boy. However long it takes, the inevitability of this relationship is as textually assured as it tends to be in the girlfriend genre. As far as I can tell, there is little evidence to suggest that a woman will ever ask a man out. It is such an uncommon occurrence that many men are actively turned off by a woman speaking to them. The only women I've ever known to ask men out were those that might be described as tomboys, due to their uncharacteristically masculine personality traits, and others who would go on to redefine their identity as non-binary or male. This is not to say that approaching someone is a necessarily masculine attribute, but this undercurrent rests within our cultural consciousness for an immeasurable tapestry of reasons that aren't worth breaking down. Suffice it to say that within the narrative of Uzaki-chan, the character is described by herself and others as a tomboy. She is loud, energetic, and has a sense of humor which might be seen as abrasive by someone less apathetic than the main character, and is straightforward about getting what she wants. It is not so much that Uzaki acts like a man. In fact, you could more accurately say that she acts like a little boy. Yes, she's a little bit immature for her age, and that's why in the context of the story, the main character does kind of feel guilty about being attracted to her, and does continue to hesitate, because whether or not she's really emotionally ready for it or not, he knows that he isn't personally capable of facing his emotions enough to guide her through an intimate relationship. Whether your fantasy is having a go-getter girlfriend who takes the weight off your back of being in control all the time, allowing you to open yourself up to more emotional experiences, or if you want to see if you can groom a dumb, naive, big-titted teen into a trad wife who grows her hair back out, the fact that Uzaki is kind of like a little boy with huge tits is indeed the point. It's a challenge asking you, are you a pervert or just gay? The answer is always, why not both? If you're keeping up with current anime, Content with Digine and Best Guy Ever is back, with videos on the god of high school and decadence. If you want to hear Digine's voice again, you can pay her $5 per 100 words to read whatever you want on Fiverr. And as always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and consider donating to our Patreon so we can keep making anime videos. Alright everyone, see you in the next one.